Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be talking about a pretty potent multi-day severe weather and possible tornado outbreak beginning tomorrow, March 14th, and lasting into Saturday, possibly into Sunday across the eastern seaboard as well. But the most significant risks are going to be across the Mississippi River Valley and Dixie Alley with back-to-back moderate risks in place. So let's take a look at our two moderate risks before we break down the forecast of this event. So here is the SPC outlook for tomorrow, March 14th. As you guys can see, big moderate risk here in place across the central Mississippi River Valley here, the St. Louis area, southward near the Memphis, Tennessee area, includes western Kentucky, and as far north as Davenport, Iowa here, we have a big moderate risk in place. Marginal and slight risks, though. The slight risk makes it all the way up near the Minneapolis area, with a marginal going all the way to Lake Superior. We're going to have this moist environment, this warm environment getting pulled very far north. We're going to talk about why pretty soon here, but this is going to lead to widespread severe weather even up into the upper Midwest here, but most concentrated across these orange and red risk areas. The biggest threat is going to be widespread damaging winds with a squall line moving across eastern Missouri and into Illinois as we head into later out tomorrow afternoon and into the evening period. But there is definitely a threat of hail as well that could get up to baseball size, especially with supercells on the southern portion of that squall line south of the St. Louis area, southward it departs of Memphis, Tennessee region into northern Mississippi up to baseball-sized hail, and that tornado threat is going to definitely be on the table as well. We're going to get embedded tornadoes with that line moving across Missouri and Illinois, but we're also possibly going to get some strong tornadoes with supercells, nocturnal supercells possible south of the St. Louis metro area, southward into Dixie Alley for tomorrow night. All severe weather hazards in a significant basis on the table for tomorrow, starting in the afternoon and lasting into the overnight. And then we have significant severe weather continuing on Saturday, March 15th as well here. Moderate risk, day 3 moderate risk from eastern Louisiana through parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and the Florida Panhandle here, pretty much from New Orleans up into east central Alabama. We're going to have a big threat of a severe weather and tornado outbreak here. That's a 45 severe weather probability right here with significant severe weather possible all the way up into central Kentucky. And again, with those warm, moist air masses getting pulled to the north, we're going to have some isolated to scattered severe weather possible all the way up into the eastern Great Lakes, the Metro Detroit area, more likely across the Cleveland area and up there into the Lake Erie region here with scattered severe weather, primarily damaging winds possible, but definitely the threat of a continued tornado outbreak across Dixie Alley on Saturday the 15th. And then we get into Sunday, we're going to have some severe weather continuing across the eastern seaboard, which we're not going to talk about as much because it won't be anywhere near as significant as the other 2 days, but definitely a couple big days in place for severe weather outbreak material. So let's hop over to our models here to see what's going on. I want to take a look at the NAM resolution model that was uploaded this morning first. And the very first thing that I want to do is take a look at our mid-level wind field, our 500 millibar winds, because I want to show you guys this trough ejection that's going to be happening as we go along at the time. So if you guys watch Phantom Weather Channel, I always talked about the big U-shaped thing. So we're going to have that happening as we get into Friday morning here. So let me just speed that up right to that time. Where are we at? 16Z. Okay, this is Friday morning of the 15th. The 14th, tomorrow morning. We're going to have this trough here moving into northern Texas into Oklahoma here, negatively tilted trough that is going to be pushing some very strong mid-level winds into the southern plains and heading into the Ozark region here. These winds are going to be very strong, turning westerly with height. That is going to set the stage for big-time organized severe weather. It's going to make those updrafts very organized and tall. We're going to have a good chance for some damaging winds and possibly several strong tornadoes here. A very strong low-pressure system, too. We're going to get strong gusty winds all the way up into the upper Midwest and Great Lakes here. Possibly some snow on the northern and western side of the system, on the cold side of the system. But east of this trough here, we're going to have these southwesterly winds that are going to be pulling in all this moisture from the Gulf of Mexico here. And taking a look at our low-level jet as we get into Friday morning, you got these strong southerly low-level jet winds. That's also going to be helping to aid that moisture advection northward, pulling in this moist air from the Gulf of Mexico, shooting it over to the Ozarks and into the Mississippi River Valley, and setting the stage for a pretty potent severe weather event. So what I want to do here is take a look at the the Mississippi Valley and show you guys the simulated radar. We're going to speed this up pretty far, all the way into tomorrow evening, or getting close to tomorrow evening, I should say. Let's take a look at our radar here, composite reflectivity. And as you guys can see, by tomorrow evening around 5 or 6 p.m., we're going to have a organized squall line here moving into central Missouri. This is going to have the chance for strong damaging winds, possibly hurricane force winds over 75 miles an hour here. Definitely the chance for some line embedded tornadoes too. You guys saw those strong winds that are going to be turning with height. We're going to take some soundings in a second so you guys can see what the environment is looking like. At the same time that we have these strong winds here turning with height, that strong lower level jet, those strong mid-level winds, we're going to get these dew points here getting pulled in that are going to be in the 50s to near 60. They're going to get more potent though as we get a little bit further along into the evening. You guys can see these 60s dew points getting pulled up into the Missouri boot heel, into the Paducah, Kentucky area, southern Illinois. These blues here, those dew points over 60. The further south that you go into eastern Texas, western Arkansas, big time dry line here, that warm moist air in this blue area clashing with the cool dry air behind the cold front in this gray area. That's how you set the stage for severe weather. It's not going to be quite as moist up here, obviously, across the St. Louis metro area, northward towards Davenport, Iowa, but we're still going to get significant severe weather up here. The reason is we're still going to have enough wind shear, enough kinematics in place to support those strong storms, but the moisture is going to be a little bit further to the south, and that's why the southern portion of this risk area is going to have a better chance of severe storms continuing throughout the overnight, and those could be very dangerous as well from a tornado perspective, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. So let's hop back over to our radar to show you guys what I mean. So at that point, again, big squall line here, damaging winds, line embedded QLCS tornadoes, definitely impossible, possible. And as we take that a couple hours along, you guys can see that south of this line here, right near the St. Louis metro area, southward across the state line into Arkansas, all these storms here developing in Mississippi. These are going to be something that we have to keep an eye on. Little Rock, Memphis, you guys keep an eye on this tomorrow night. Nocturnal tornado event definitely possible. That 10% hatched area for tornadoes includes you guys. And the reasoning why is we're going to have the same kind of lower level jet stream across the area for you guys. We're going to have a very strong low level jet, almost 70 knots here, south to southwesterly low level jet. Again, these winds strong and turning with height. The difference is you guys are also going to have the moisture as well. You guys will have dew points that are going to be in the mid 60s at this point, mid to upper 60s, getting even stronger obviously as you get further south across the southern Mississippi River Valley here into Dixie Alley. So those strong dew points coupled with those strong winds turning with height, that strong low-level jet is going to set the stage for ingredients very favorable for tornado activity. Let's go ahead and pull a sounding near the Memphis, Tennessee area as we get into tomorrow evening and wait for it to load. As you guys can see, PDS tornado sounding right here. This is not a cherry pick sounding. This is just a random sounding from that area by tomorrow evening. As you guys can see, look at this hodograph here. Really strong hodograph. These southeasterly surface winds that are coming southwesterly with that low-level jet stream. Really strong low-level jet at this point, and then turning near westerly as we get higher up into the atmosphere here. Can even be shown over here near our thermodynamic profile. As you guys can see, these winds starting at the southeast and then turning westerly with height as you go higher up into the atmosphere. As you guys can see, upper 60s temperatures, mid 60s dew points. We do have a little bit of a separation here with this white line and this red temperature line, which means there is some CAPE in place as well. That CAPE is going to help the energy and instability that we need for severe weather. Maybe a little bit of an elevated mix layer as well right above the surface near 3 kilometers above the ground. This will help to destabilize the environment even more. And again, very strong kinematic profile over here with these hodographs. This is definitely a classic Dixie Alley tornado type setup. Something that we have to keep an eye on for sure for tomorrow night. And it's going to be even more the case across that same region and a little bit further to the south, a little bit further east across Dixie Alley on Saturday. So taking that back to our simulated radar, again, we could have these possible supercells marching across the Arkansas and Mississippi area as we head throughout tomorrow night and into Saturday morning. with that squall line gradually weakening as it moves across central Illinois. Because again, even though there's going to be a ton of wind shear up here to organize these storms, eventually they're going to die because there's not enough moisture and instability to hold them together. So these big storms aren't going to last all the way into Indiana. They are going to die out and lose quite a bit of intensity beforehand. But this entire region here, I'm not going to pull a sounding, but I just want a box reference for you guys. We're talking about the St. Louis area southward through Arkansas, West Tennessee, maybe into parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. You guys are going to have to watch for a possible nocturnal tornado episode tomorrow night. That's tomorrow night, Friday, February 14th, March 14th. Something that we have to keep an eye on. Strong tornado is going to be possible for you guys down across that region. Now let's take a look at Saturday the 15th. So we're just going to zoom this to a different type area here. I want to show you guys Dixie Alley. Zoom in on the southeast. We're going to take a look at the NAM. Again, this is all off the NAM model. You do got to compare it to the HRRR model. It's too early to do it at that point for Saturday. The HRRR model doesn't quite go out that far, but once it does, it will be good to get a comparison of the two models. So we're going to speed this up into Saturday afternoon. Let's just go ahead and take this to where do we want to go? Let's go right around noon on Saturday the 15th. So at that point, we are going to have dew points that are going to be approaching 70 to near 70 across eastern Louisiana, especially near the St. Louis area, or St. Louis, geez, guys, sorry, New Orleans area. Take that a couple hours further along. Now you can really see these 70s dew points becoming pretty widespread across East Louisiana into southern Mississippi. Very moist environment in place, probably going to have a ton of CAPE across that area. Let's go ahead and take a look at our convective available potential energy, or CAPE right here, surface-based CAPE. As you guys can see, we got these golds, we got these oranges, we got almost these reds here across Louisiana and Mississippi, and this is going to just make the environment even more primed for severe weather out ahead of this cold front here, which at this point is going to be right over western Louisiana, moving up there into central and eastern Arkansas. Another big thing to keep in mind is that depending on how the severe weather plays out tomorrow with that first moderate risk is going to have a big impact on how Saturday goes, because we have a bunch of storms clogging up the air mass, clogging up the environment Saturday morning into the early afternoon. We may not have as big of a tornado event as could be possible, but if we don't see that much activity, we see a very unstable air mass developing out ahead of this cold front, then this warm sector and the cold front itself will be primed for significant, strong to potentially violent tornadoes, and maybe even the possibility for an upgrade to a high risk. I think that definitely could be on the table if we see enough instability, but that kind of instability is hard to come by in March. If we were seeing a very similar type setup in late April into May, could be looking at a different story. But I think right now, we're just going to have to take it, by ear. We'll see. It's going to depend a lot on the instability and how that plays out ahead of the cold front. But we definitely have a lot of moisture in place. Let's take a look at that low-level jet stream. Again, this is all right around 1 p.m. Saturday afternoon. Low-level jet very strong at this point, but as you guys can see, as we go later into the afternoon and evening, it intensifies even more. We are going to have a 75-knot low-level jet coming out of the south to southwest across Alabama as we get closer to around 6 p.m. Saturday evening. And let's go ahead and go back out to our simulated radar by this point. Again, this is 6 p.m. Let's just go ahead and pull a sounding from west central Alabama at this point and see what it is looking like. As you guys can see, PDS tornado sounding, lower 70s temperatures, upper 60s dew points, very moist environment in place. We have, again, that separation right there of the red and white line. Definitely some CAPE in place. Extreme kinematics here. Look at this photograph. Southeasterly surface winds, near due southerly to just slightly southwesterly. Low-level jet winds here at the 1 kilometer level, and then becoming quite westerly with height. Just an incredible kinematic profile here. They're very strong, and they are very curved as you go higher up into that volatile atmosphere. Definitely a PDS tornado sounding. And as you guys can see, if we go to our significant tornado parameter, or our STP, it is just absolutely primed across eastern Mississippi into Alabama by late Saturday afternoon into the evening. Look at these purples and browns across the area. Just incredible STP values right here. Let's just go ahead. This is a thing of beauty for someone that looks at weather stuff right here, but also a real dangerous thing. Look at how these STP values get really high as we go Again, this is tomorrow night where it's still going to be a pretty primed environment because we're going to have those supercells marching up and down the lower Mississippi River Valley. Possibly those could produce some strong tornadoes, but then it redevelops as we get into the time that we're talking about now, Saturday evening. Just really high STP values right here. Environment incredibly primed for strong tornadoes in the warm sector and out ahead of that cold front. Very dangerous environment in place, something that we are definitely going to have to keep an eye on. Let's go back to our simulated radar. I know a lot of the times the NAM high resolution does tend to have a bit of a linear tendency, but certainly still good to look at the environment, still good to look at the situation it is presenting. And, when the HRRR model comes out too, some of the other high resolution models, the NSSL model, it'll be good to get a comparison of several together. But as you guys can see here, this is early Saturday morning of the 15th. Not a whole lot going on. But again, these clouds and these extra showers may limit the instability a little bit, this carryover of the storms from the previous night. And hopefully that does happen because it'll lower the ceiling for the tornado potential on Saturday. But, it could still be quite high. Still has to be something that we're keeping an eye on. And then we get into the mid to late afternoon here, and these storms are really popping off across northern and central Mississippi into Alabama. Pretty much any of these cells out ahead of the line here could be supercellular. Even the line itself could have some embedded supercells along the cold front, and definitely the chance to produce some strong to violent tornadoes. The farthest this model will go out will be Saturday evening. So on the high resolution models, we can't really go far beyond that. We can't really look at Saturday night yet, and we can't do anything on the HRRR for Saturday, but those times are coming very soon. And the Storm Prediction Center does have an update to the day 3 outlook for Saturday coming at around 3:30 this afternoon, 3:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 Central Time, where a lot of these areas are going to be located. So we are going to be watching for that to see what is going on here. Pretty lengthy outlook in place. Definitely something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Widespread severe weather, multiple tornadoes going to be possible between tomorrow and Saturday. Big time multi-day severe weather outbreak is in place. And I think that is kind of going to wrap it up for this one. If you guys did enjoy this format, I haven't did a format of a video like this in a long time. So if you guys liked it, be sure to let me know. If you guys have any suggestions or critiques, please feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I want to do what you guys, want me to present. I want to hear your guys' feedback. So let me know down there. But until the next one, stay safe and talk to you guys next time.